Tracy's got it.
This is the Town of Acton Selectmen's meeting for April 22nd, 2010. First order of business, salute to the American flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda is written.
Second, all in favor. Approval of the minutes of the last meeting.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting is written.
I'll second that, all in favor. Signing of the warrants.
She stuck in several extra ones there.
Yeah. I guess you don't. I think that's it. It's true.
Okay. Under old business, cable committee report. Anybody here to report on cable? Okay, under new business. First is insurance coverage for the fire department. This is coverage that was questioned about, and we already.
New this year.
It's new that we have have added. This is the personal automobile deduction reimbursement. And this is a policy for the town of Acton. The reimbursement will be provided for municipal employees, volunteer firefighters, EMS personnel, and police officers who damage their personal automobiles while performing duties on behalf of and as authorized by the member. The damage must be the result of a covered comprehensive or collision loss. We will reimburse the deductible up to $1,000 under the personal automobile policy of the individual employee or volunteer. The charge for the coverage is $50 for the first 15 employees, volunteers, and $5 per additional employee or volunteer. So we have this coverage. There's 48 members that are covered under this for the town of Acton. Okay? So that's that.
Yep.
Next we have just the contract for the auditor. We are going to be putting the auditor out to bid because the policy of anything over $4,000 we must go out to bid. So we have to put that out to bid because the contract is up. So can we get on that?
Do that process started tomorrow.
Okay, so that's going to be done. And
Percy has something.
While you're talking about the contract for the auditor, I'd like to make some suggestions. Number one, the last 2 weeks in June, you published something in the local paper that says that all bills for the preceding year shall be in the hands of the town by the 5th of July. And any bills for the preceding year that are not in the hands of the town by the 5th of July will not be paid, period. The auditor should start his audit on the 6th. And he should have the audit completed in your hands so that you can pass it out to the Warrant Finance Committee and the citizens by September 1st. And there's no reason in the world why it can't be done. And I trust that you're looking for somebody as a new auditor. When you consider that the auditor you have right now told the superintendent of schools that they had a $400,000 surplus when they ended up being in the hole. And if I'd been a selectman at the time, he would have come before the town and the school board, and if he made the mistake, He'd have paid for it. You hired him to do a job. And why you can't make him work up to what he's supposed to do. And I remember at the school meeting last year, he made the statement that he'd been here for 5 years and it ought to be a new set of eyes looking at the books. So before you go with the same old dead horse, you better start looking around. I want to remind you of something I've told you and previous boards. The errors and omissions insurance that you carry is only good if you do your job to the best of your ability. And if you're not carrying errors and omissions insurance, you should be.
Thank you. Okay.
Just for the record, Tony, this past year, the audit was done before September 1st and completed.
Okay, that is true. Next we have Gail Bovera to speak on the gym.
We've been thinking about maybe some alternatives for the gym. We haven't, we've been open for probably 6 weeks, and we were just wondering if there might be some options or some ways to scale the fees for the membership so that maybe we could include more people or have it be a little less cost. I believe we only have 8 people that have signed up so far, which isn't really enough to kind of keep it going. So we thought that maybe if we had the gym originally won the grant for the fire department and auxiliary and ambulance, and just I was thinking, and some other people have voiced their concerns, that maybe they could still be members, sign the paperwork and everything, but be members without any cost or with a substantially reduced fee, because it was their gym originally. It's just a thought. And then the rest of us that are paid employees of the town could be either paying what we're paying or paying maybe a little bit less. And then maybe if you wanted, I don't know if you're contemplating it or not, but if you wanted to open it up, because I've had some people approach me that don't want to volunteer for the town, they don't work for the town, they just want to belong to the gym, they just want to use the gyms, and they're perfectly willing to pay the rate, the current rate. So that was a thought also, to maybe generate some income.
Did you find that the rate that you had set was too much?
Apparently, I didn't set it. Whoever came up with the figure, it seemed like it was maybe fair at the time. But with Planet Fitness, there's $99 for a year for single membership. It's not family, but I mean, they have a terrific facility. The Y is certainly much more expensive, but they have a lot more to offer. We're not trying to compare, you're not comparing apples to apples by any means, but maybe it needs to be reevaluated a little bit.
Going into opening up to everybody, we'd actually be opening a gym, and I don't think we can do that.
Right.
We can't just open it. The town can't open a gym. Going through this with the MMA and everything, the fact that it was for volunteers, and that was absolutely fine. So I think we have to leave it like that.
Okay.
But I think what we have to do is have a better understanding of how much money this building is going to cost us to be open for a year. And then we can figure out, because we're not trying to make any money from it.
Right,
We're just trying to cover the cost. We went through this the other night extensively with the Warrant Finance Committee. It was a good conversation back and forth. We really don't know how much it's going to cost us to run that building for 1 year.
Correct.
And if we could figure that out and come out, you might be able to charge a cheaper price to make it, you know. And I guess that's a good point that Planet Fitness? It's only
right.
$10 a month or even less than that.
That's single membership. Ours is 50 for...
There's not a lot in there. That's what we were talking about the other night.
Right.
It is very small. And maybe we should, now, do you still have a board together that works on this?
There's a few of us that are still, we're not really officially meeting or anything, or we're just kind of communicating by emails, but we could...
You really don't have any particular costs except for whatever electricity is being used, whatever, heat is being used.
And repair. There's a few pieces of equipment that aren't working right now, so we need to get some repair, right?
I wonder what the amount would be for 1 year to keep that building open, no matter who uses it.
Like I said...
Can't be that much.
When we was running it as a fire station, if I remember correctly, when Harold was the chief, that he used to tell me it was about 1,000 gallons of oil they used to use. But what I would like to see is for your committee to get together, Gail, and come back with some kind of proposal for changes. And whatever changes those are, the first thing that we probably would do is run it by MMA and see what happens. Okay. We're still willing to talk about, we'll be probably talking for the next year, trying to...
Yeah, I think it's a work in progress. It just needs to be kind of tweaked a little bit maybe and re-look at, because I want to see, what's disappointing to me is that we're not seeing the fire department or the auxiliary take advantage of it or sign up.
Right.
And that's kind of was the whole purpose of the building and the facility to begin with.
And I do know that there's some firemen, for example, that was the reason it was started to begin with.
Right.
And it's either they don't really have the money, or which is probably true with some of them, and some of them's like, why should we pay to use it?
Exactly.
And I agree. So if you guys could meet again and come back with some kind of a plan, and we'll run it by MMA and we'll discuss it.
Okay.
And whatever's best for everybody, as far as I'm concerned, is what we'll do.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anything else?
Thanks for doing it.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks for coming and doing that, yeah.
Okay, next we have Mr. David Winchell.
I got a paper in front of me here that's kind of concerned me a little bit. I didn't really want to stir up the pot or anything, but this article, The Ugly Truth in Acton, I'd like to make some corrections, make some points here.
Stop, please. Excuse me.
No,
Excuse me, Mr. Kennedy. David Winchell got it before.
What I want to do here is I'm not going to get up and do the same thing that Dave Cody did during the last meeting. What I like to do is when there is an article written about a public official, okay, when there's two public officials, okay, that run the same name, I would suggest that Dave Cody use the name of the person he's talking about, because I'm getting phone calls at my house, my parents are getting at their house, and I absolutely had nothing to do with this, okay? So I would just suggest that when Dave Cody writes his next letter, that he names off the person that's involved in this, and so people like myself don't have to get dragged down into this.
So what you're saying is some people won't think it's you and stuff.
Yeah, I had absolutely nothing to do with this, and I'm getting the phone calls wondering why this all happened. And I think with Dave Cody's education and all that he would know, especially in school, if there's some stuff being written and stuff behind someone's back or whatever, state the facts. I don't want to get hung out to dry over this here.
I'll just speak to Mr. Winchell. It's Tracy Sully. The message that was sent in that letter was meant to be stated here because the selectmen had asked for people to come and discuss issues with them personally rather than submit letters to the paper, and where he was...
Let me just correct you on that. First of all, I wasn't going to speak on it, but I'm going to speak on it, okay? This letter, nobody cares what Dave Cody has to say about anything.
I'm sorry, that's not true.
Excuse me, I have this is my meeting, selectmen's meeting. And we said anything about town business will be discussed, not personalities, not old family feuds that I happen to always have to be in the middle of it because I'm the only person who doesn't have any family in this town, okay? And that's what that's about. It wasn't even worth mentioning. I understand Dave's point, that you don't want to be thought of as the person talked about. As far as I'm concerned, it's absolutely is meaningless. So,
I understand.
excuse me. We said we'll talk about business. The letter we read by, who was the one that wrote that?
Bill Lotz.
Bill Lotz was about finances and so forth, and we read that. That's fine. But if somebody's making personal attacks that night, that's what that was about. No personal attacks on anybody. That's what we will not discuss at this meeting. I've never done it. We don't do it. Okay? So that's for the public to make a decision on, so I'd rather just leave it right at that.
Okay, I just wanted to speak to Mr. Winchell's comment. The paper will not publish any letters if there are specific names in the article, which is why the names were taken out.
Okay.
Tony, the reason I was asking to stop there was because I thought you folks had a policy of not commenting about matters that were in the paper, criticizing people. Okay. I came to this board one time with a comment about a false bit of advertising that I think maybe didn't improve the vote on a bit of comp plan work, where it said that the existing lots were going to be impacted, grandfather lots. Mr. Peterson, I haven't had a chance to discuss that with him because I haven't seen him. But, that was a shoddy bit of work. But anyway, I'm here to please ask for fair consideration of the carrying forward of the comp plan committee until the November vote on their work is completed, and to please also ask for fair consideration of the carrying forward of their budget as a warrant article. And I'm going to fill out a form tonight and submit it to you folks for a request for information, just so that we can share the questions and comments that you folks get on CPIC work in order to properly address questions and comments. So when you have a full complement of board members, I would wish that you would give that fair consideration, those 3 points.
So you're asking to continue
well, as I understood it when we met informally the other day, last Friday I think it was, there was a notion of having the committee appear, or a representative of the committee appear on Thursday nights starting in June, I assume, or something, to explain a segment of the warrant proposals, the shoreline zoning. In order to do that, it would seem odd if you want to disband the committee and not to terminate any discussion that would be going on as a committee in how best to address questions and comments, for example. I think as evidenced by our public hearing last night, we do have some editorial errors and maybe some data errors that Dennis was commenting on last night that will need to be remedied. And I'm sure more of these will surface as you come forth with a 160-page document. You're undoubtedly going to have some mistakes that you made. And we need the funds to do some copying, have some secretarial work. I'm merely asking that, excuse me, the budget, current budget outstanding, Sherry informed me tonight, was about $4,700. And as we get closer to the town meeting date, I assume that will be, I don't see any more large copying expenses unless you folks warrant some more copies being made. You know how expensive that got to be to make that colored copy. So I'm just asking for fair consideration. If we are obligated, and I think we are unanimous in our willingness to fulfill our duty to you folks, we'd like a little support, I guess. Okay, thank you.
Tom. Just so you know, I have only received one set of questions or comments in writing, and I handed those over to Anna last night, and she said she was going to pass them on to you.
That was a planning board matter. That was about a 18-inch retaining wall or something, and permission to build a retaining wall?
The gentleman came in, and he looked at the shoreline zoning stuff, and he asked if he could read it. He took it home with him, he brought it back, and he talked to Tony and I last Friday, and it was about a retaining wall, but this is what he was looking at in the shoreline district. And all I'm saying is, the only thing I've had in writing from anybody is that document I gave Anna last night.
I appreciate that. It was just it wouldn't be anything to deal with the complaint committee. It was just a single specific request that this fellow, as I read it, was going to come in front of Kenny for, and it was not within our purview, but...
Right, but it's within the shoreline.
Oh, right.
That was what I was saying.
But what I was alluding to in terms of questions and comments that you've gotten, I think it was Tony maybe in the hallway when we were chatting about this the other day, mentioned that you had gotten a number of emails since the colored text had come out, the Chapter 5, I guess. And we just feel it's proper for us to see those in order to answer questions and comments.
Oh, of course.
We have to find out what people are...
Of course, I wasn't thinking about the email. I apologize, Tom. I was thinking something that somebody came in, and obviously all emails are public documents.
Yeah. So we're just, again, asking for some fair consideration. We're willing to carry on with our commitment here, and I think it's worthwhile. Okay, thank you.
We hadn't really finished with David. Then Tom just kind of...
Do you want to carry it down and follow?
Yes.
Carl Hodgson. I understand that the printing of this document that Mr. Cashin was referring to was quite expensive due to the fact that it came out in 3 different colors. However, in the future, in order to save some money, I would like to suggest that by changing the font, the whole thing could have all been done in black, and it would have been far less expensive.
I think that we were advised to do it in color. That's why we were just following orders.
No. There's a warrant finance committee meeting Monday night to vote on the municipal warrant articles, make their recommendations on them, 6 o'clock here. Hopefully...
Can I add to the announcements when you're done?
Sorry?
Can I add to the announcements?
Sure.
If that's what you're up to.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess that's it.
Mary Stanton. I just want to let everyone know also, because the school budget was defeated, we will be going back to the drawing board, and we already had 1 meeting, but we will have meetings next week, Monday at 6 o'clock at the school. Wednesday and Thursday are right now scheduled also at 6 p.m. at the school. And we are thinking right now to have another school town meeting beginning of May, and the vote mid-May. And the reason why we are doing this is because then maybe the 3rd try, if we had to, we can match that up with the town meeting. And, you know, when people consider the cost of going back to vote and going back to vote and going back to vote, you have to think about question 2, and whoever voted that we should continue to go behind the curtain. This will be very costly to the town, and now we're going to be doing it for 3 years.
We had, just on that note, we had a little discussion with the clerk tonight about the dates, and we haven't made a final decision what we think we might do to save money. Our budget for the elections is kind of low. So I think we would go with June 1st being the school town meeting, and then the referendum would be the same day for everybody, for the town and the school together, so we'd save a whole day's worth of voting, and then the regular town meeting would be where it is. That's what we're kind of considering at this time, to put forward for elections.
If we do that, and that's the second time, that means the third time would be during the summer when there's hardly anybody around.
Well, I'm hoping that the second time it'll pass. That's what we're hoping.
Could be 4 or 5 times.
Judy Shane. I think we need to take a look at the consolidation law before we set those dates in stone, because there are some guidelines in the actual consolidation law that tell you the time span where you have to go for your next referendum.
We have,
So that might be something we need to look at.
we already have the clerk looking into that so we can make the right choice. I understand that, and we'll do it the right way.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to let everybody know that it's going to be very difficult to film the school budget meetings. I didn't have a camera person for last night. Monday night we'll be at the Warrant and Finance Committee. Thursday night we'll be here, so there's only possibly one opportunity out of those 3 meetings to film, and that's if I can find a camera person, because I'm really short of people to film. Okay?
I know Brian's working a lot of overtime.
Brian's working a lot of overtime, and you know, I have his commitment for the school committee, the regular school committee meetings, and I have Andrew now for Thursdays. And the other nights, I've been filling in, but I'm falling, you know, behind on some of my other duties in doing so, so I need to not do that.
I mean, there is not even a hint of anybody else volunteering.
No.
You can only do the best you can.
Yeah.
Anything else?
So, I make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor, second. All in favor.